Welcome. Drink Less, Feel Fresh, and Feel Fresh Monday podcast listeners. Nat Hodges and Tommy Cartwright here, absolutely keen and excited. I was going to use the word jacked because Nat did that. I was like, I don't ever feel jacked. I don't go to the gym. I don't feel the jacked energy. Looking forward to diving into the podcast with you today. We're diving into environment and influences. If you want to understand what you can and can't control, and one of the root evils, in my opinion, Nat, but I'm going to ask your thoughts on this. One of my something I strongly believe is almost a root of evil for so many people experiencing addiction, which is forgetting that there's a whole nother world out there to be played, and just sabotaging themselves, thinking it is the addiction that causes me the issue, and if I can't stop doing that, then everything's going to fall apart. But before that, mate, how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Weekend, I got so much sleep in. That's why I'm so fired up. It's because I had 2 10-hour sleeps. I needed it so bad.
Mate, what's the average? What's the average kind of sleep that you've found just seems to really work well for you?
Oh, mate, I'm a sleepy bear. I'm telling you. I go to bed at like 7:30 and I'll get up between like 5:30. I sleep heaps.
Yeah, perfect. Make me feel heaps better.
But I'm super efficient in the day too. Like, I don't. It's not like I get heaps of sleep because I'm being crazy in the day. Like, I'm still quite steady. I'm just a pretty slow moving person, eh?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I love hearing that. I'm a sleepy bear. I'll take that on board today for sure, mate. I absolutely love my sleep, and I actually feel this ties in. It's funny how the conversation that we have almost always ties into the topic.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I used to stress for so long and give myself a hard time because apparently I slept like an hour more than the average.
Right.
Back in the day, it was like, oh, you should sleep 8 hours at night or something. Just in general layman's terms, blanket statement of this is what it should look like. But over the years, I've found if I get that 9.5 hours, I am so efficient during the day.
Oh, isn't it the best? It's the thing. It's the thing. We're the only creature. We're the only creature in the living planet that augments our sleep cycle. Everything else just falls asleep when it wants to. We're killing ourselves. Anyway.
Yeah, right. That's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, we're the only thing that goes, well, we've got to sleep between now and now, and if I'm tired, I've got to push through and get another coffee. It's like, oh, God.
Oh, mate, did I tell you have I ever told you the story when I was being coached and mentored back in about 10 years ago now, and he made the comment about the sleep?
No.
So this is back when I was first trying to overcome addiction, and I was like struggling in it, and I was in that gambling debt, and I was in that like alcoholic kind of industry. Yeah, just like just drinking all the time, hungover at this session that I was at, with this mentor trying to break free from the pattern. And he's asking me about my life, and he's asking me about what I love about this guy called Dave. He just asked me so much about the context of my life. If I fed him some BS, like, oh man, I did it again, I was out drinking. He goes, cool. Before we talk about that, tell me what was going on. And right, he's asking me all these questions, and this is so. I've always remembered it. It completely changed my life, and I'm a big believer in the gap between where you are and where you want to be is often learning one thing. Becoming aware of one thing. And he goes to me, you're very busy, aren't you? You're always hanging out with your friends, and you're in the hospitality industry, which means you're on your feet for like that 8 to 10 hour shift. And then after that, you go and you play the pokies, which means you're stimulating your mind a lot. You're busy, aren't you?
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, he goes, you're very busy. I said, yeah, very busy, very busy. He goes, do you ever get tired? And I go, right? Seems so simple. Does you ever get tired? I go, yeah, but it's hard to kind of tell. And he goes, why? I go, well, because if I'm tired, I have a slap or I have a beverage. And he goes, yeah, right. And he goes, what time are you generally getting tired, if you notice? I said, and this is, I'm being really curious with the guy, right? Like I'm not being a dick. And I go,
straight away.
Normally after my shift, or if I'm not working, it's like if I get home from being on the jet ski in the morning, I'll get really tired. Yeah, that's about when. He goes, and he looks at me, and I don't know if he was taking the piss or just being really good at what he does in a weird way. He just goes, you ever thought about taking a fucking nap? And I've never forgotten that.
So good.
And I just giggled and I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You ever thought about taking a nap?" And my response was so, I'm going to use the word ignorant, not giving myself a hard time. Ignorant. I said, 24-year-olds don't need naps, mate.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of,
He's nailed you.
yeah, but apparently they need alcohol and booze and gambling and drugs every afternoon. Yeah, right. And I just sat back in my chair, scratching my head. So I love it when you say that we're the only, what did you say? We're the only animals on the planet
that augment our sleep cycle.
Right? Interesting. And that's what we're talking about today, which is environment and influence. We are incredibly influential human beings. And so often we forget to look after what it is that we're doing in a 24-hour period, and we focus on why it is that we ended up drinking in that afternoon. Yeah. And from the moment I ever learned that, I actually, that was a big contributing factor to me learning to manage myself and manage emotion. And it was just in the afternoon, looking at my phone, looking around, feeling like I'm going to be judged, being like, I'm going to have a nap now. It felt so foreign that you're even allowed to have a nap in the afternoon.
Yes. Yeah, Tommy, I've got this zone at this date that I end up in. I'll just try and describe it for you. It's normally on the weekend. I'm normally trying to be productive at the wrong time. So I've got inappropriate productivity happening. I'm looking around the house to try and fix something, clean something, or trying to get something organized for the next day. I'm frustrated because I'm not resting, but I'm frustrated because I'm not doing anything. I feel like there's a gap in the day, and I'm all caught up. When I'm in that place, I now know there's only one solution for that, and it's go have a sleep. I'll be frustrated, irritated, I won't be tasting my food. Everything will be disconnected, and I'll be in this like fake productivity mode. When I'm there, I know the only solution for that is a sleep. It only takes me 20 minutes, and I'll literally reset everything. It's wild.
It is wild. It's also wild because it goes against what a lot of us believe, which is you need to wear yourself out. But you're suggesting
madness.
No, no, don't. I love that you say that, because it's not like, okay, I'm just going to smash out 3 hours back-to-back work. I'll get productivity.
I'll get productive. Yeah.
I'll be productive, and then I'll be really tired. No, I learned one of the biggest learning curves for me now, having children, and
oh yeah, there you go.
It might be just me. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't know. I just used to think that the aim of the game was to wear kids out. I don't know if I just learned that or if I just learned it somewhere. The aim of the game is to
wear them out.
Wear them out. Yeah. Oh, keep them up. They'll sleep better.
Yep. Wow.
And right. And one of the things my beautiful wife Jamie was teaching me, and Jamie really loved the education and learning a bit about sleep patterns and food and things like that for the kids. One of the things she taught me is like, hang on, Tom. Like, and this was when our beautiful girl, our firstborn.
Hang on, Tom. Let me stop you right there, Tom.
Oh my god.
I've got him.
Yeah, let's it'll be interesting to see if this is the kind of conversation that our audience like.
Isabel, let us know.
Yeah, Isabel, jump into the chat panel. If anyone's watching live, jump into the chat panel. Yeah, and like 2 months into the journey, Jamie looked at me, she's like, no, the more they sleep, the better they sleep. And I said, what? The more a child sleeps, the better they sleep. It is when they have broken sleep and they're struggling to sleep that it starts to compound, and the child cannot sleep. There we go. Too much stimulation. And ever since I learned that, it's funny what you said earlier, because ever since I learned that, I love National Geographic, and I've had this really keen eye lately when I'm watching National Geographic and they're just watching these animals, and it's the middle of the day at any time of day, and they just put themselves to bed. I find it really interesting. They're just chilled, relax, sleepy, yawny, not much needs to be done. I did the hunting and gathering. I went to the toilet. I'm off to sleep now.
Jeez, that's me on the weekend. Just a big sleepy bear, eh?
You are a big sleepy bear. We're going to refer to you as that. I'm just going to jump into the chat battle now for those that are listening live. Yeah, hit it, Nat.
Okay. So one thing, the premise of today, everyone listening, check this out. And even if we can just start here as like a first principle, would be nice, Tommy. Every single time you're looking at yourself or a person, they are in an environment. A person and an environment can never be separated. It's the same thing. You are a part of the environment. Therefore, we have a giant, innumerable set of reactions that happen between us and the environment. It is insane. It's insanity how much we're exchanging information with our environment all the time. Easy thing. Here you go. If you're sitting in your house and you feel nice and comfortable, just put the aircon to say 26, 27 and see how you go. Within 15 minutes, you'll be a different person.
Oh, that is such a good example. It's so simple, but such a good example.
Just a little bit out of comfort zone of 22, 23, just a change in temperature, you'll be a different person, guarantee you.
I look at this a lot like, because I actually get quite fired up about this topic now. Like when someone's giving themselves such a hard time, but they're making it so difficult to have a good time or an easy time. Like, for example, hanging out with a bunch of mates that love booze, alcohol, and gambling, and then wondering why you're boozing, you're alcoholing, and you're gambling. But then instead of looking at the cause...
I should have more choice. I should be able to figure this out.
There we go. Yeah. Instead of looking at the cause, like why do we tend to fall at looking at the effect so much? Like the whole cause and effect. We love getting sucked into the effect and the bounce back and the repercussion. We love, and I think it's probably an industry benchmark, low benchmark, is this, whole cure rather than preventative focused. Why do we love just to play the easy, irresponsible game and then look for a cure as opposed to looking at preventing it? Excuse me. Which on this podcast is about looking at the influences. Like, what does that even mean to look at either how you're influenced in the causes or looking at the effects of things and trying to create a cure?
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you a perfect example. This is an example I use all the time between the interaction of individual and environment. Tommy, let's say we had a friend rock up on this call right now. Hey, boys, I'm your mate. I'm 7 foot tall. Okay, we go epic. And he goes, I want to play a sport. What sport should I play? And you and I go, dude, probably go play basketball. And he's like, no, everyone tells me that. I want to do mogul skiing, downhill skiing. And you go, okay. Now our culture would go for it, bro. You can be whatever you want. Okay, we have a giant misrepresentation here of individual and environment. Got a 7 foot guy on skis, that's a disaster. His ego might go, I want to do that. Okay, sure, go do it if you want to. You're going to be miserable. You're going to suck. It's not going to be a fun time. If you go to the basketball court, even though you hate it. If you go to the basketball court, you stick it out for 6 months. If you're not crushing it, leading the team, full of purpose, and developing your actual self, sure, go play somewhere else. But it's not going to happen because you suit that environment. Like it's as simple as that.
Oh, that is so good. Because one of the easiest, one of the funny kind of approaches that you can have when it comes to addiction, I think, is just ask yourself, if you're drinking and you don't like it, then it's because it doesn't suit you. Like I know people that suit alcohol. Not you. There we go. Like does it suit you or not? Yeah. Does it suit you or not? Some people it suits. Some people it serves, and there might be a time in their life where it doesn't serve them. I think
my wife is a great human being on alcohol.
There we go.
She's so much. Yeah.
I always, a lot of the time, someone will ask at Drink Less Feel Fresh, so Tom, do you drink and what do you drink? And do you think that you ever go back to a time where you just don't care about alcohol and you drink too much? And I often look at them and go, I'm thinking when I'm retired, I've reached all my goals. I'm at a kind of a space in life where I'm like, I don't want to achieve anything more or heighten the quality of my life. I might sit at the bowling club, roll bowls up, have beers.
Yeah.
And that'll probably that's it. That's what's going on in my head at the moment. And that's
roll bowls up.
There we go. And that's something to be judged. But the traditional industry would judge that. How dare you? Don't do that. Does it suit you or does it not suit you?
Yeah. I'm going to throw one of our clients under the bus in a good way, Anita. We were working together last Monday, and we just come across and really like a really natural competence in her that she didn't realize was such a strength. And I was like, hey, Anita, you've got this like really solid understanding of this area that a lot of people don't. And she's like, oh, really? And we got into it, and she's like, oh my God, you're so right. I feel so much lighter. Like this whole world just opened up to me. And she just had a natural gift for kind of like just navigating her space of awareness. She didn't know how good she was at it. Now, people that are really good at navigating their own awareness do not do well with alcohol. People that are more exterior focused, really extroverted, want to be one of the boys, they'll sink booze and be fine. People that are more introspective, navigating their awareness, booze stops their ability to do that. And she's like, oh my God, you're so right. I didn't realize that she really enjoys a scotch. Having a scotch actually shuts off my ability, this really subtle ability to be in this space. I'm like, yeah. She goes, yeah, good one.
Yeah. Which is interesting because when it comes to environments and influence, how do we say it? The proof in this conversation, I really wanted to approach how we've done it today, Nat, which is just a conversation, less structure, less like this is what we're going to get into. Just you and I talking so passionately about what matters most. And I think a lot of people really do just forget to look after their environment. What are the contributing, influencing factors? The 24, 48, or 72 hours before you end up having a drink.
Yep.
Another way to look at it, like your output is a response of your input. I learned, you know me, Nat, like, and you might be similar, but when I made a decision to stop, I'm a bit of a bulldog in regards to like, I'll tell myself to shut the hell up and I'll just do what you tell me.
And I'll do it. Yeah,
I'll just do it. And when I was at that stage of my life, someone told me that the 5 biggest overall influencing factors on your life, along the lines of, if I can remember them today, along the lines of family and friends, education system, if you pass that, your work environment, religion, social media, government agencies.
Wow.
Right? And when I looked at that, I went, and I just had this map straight away. I went, okay, religion, what was
Can you say that again, Tommy? Sorry to cut you off. They are crackers. Can you say that again?
Yeah, they made a huge difference to me in understanding what it meant by my output was my input. I never got it. I'm like, no, I'm drinking because I got a problem with alcohol. I'm drinking because I got a problem with alcohol. And when I learned this, I realized, those 5 things, I'll say them again in a sec, those 5 things are creating so much influence on me. There's something not serving me in that, if not all of it. So your input, your output is a reflection of your input. So
can you say those, Tommy, again? And I'm just going to slide in the kind of the psychological and emotional element of what they all add.
Oh God, that'll be good. All right.
Yeah, go for
it. Family/friend dynamic.
Okay, so that gives you a stability of lineage and belonging straight away. Next one.
Yep. Education system / if you're out of that now, uni, school, your work environment.
Okay, so that's got to do with the quality of personal value and being a valuable human being through intelligence, intellect, competence.
Nice. Religion, religious or spiritual views.
Just connected to something bigger than yourself. It's a mind-opening, expanding sense of the cosmos, which is fucking critical.
That's my favorite. We'll go this one first, actually. Government bodies or agencies, legislation, structure, providers of the world, etc., etc.
Yes, a sense of safety, that the world's a safe place.
BS. Bullshit. How about that? How about those agencies creating a big old bullshit frame? We have no idea what's going on, where the world's going.
No
clue. And the last one, I left this last today, specifically because of how big it is to these days, but social media.
Yeah. Oh God.
Social media / I'm going to put in there actually social media / entertainment access, because I think I
don't know what that serves in us. I don't know. But they're so influential, those 5 environmental factors. Crazy.
Try this on, and I say this so often, because I think it has to land for individuals, that sometimes passing responsibility isn't passing the blame. Sometimes
Yes.
Looking at life for how the world works isn't playing a pity party if you're taking responsibility for it. And you just got to honestly take a look at it and ask yourself, what of those are influencing me to where I want to be? What of those are influencing me to where I don't want to be? And if you're not sure, don't over confuse it. Are you living the life you want to live? If the answer is no, then it's worth looking at those. Like, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that, does it, Nat?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It really. I got a great story for you, Tommy. Sorry.
Yeah, mate.
I had a client about 3 years ago, and so smart, like so tech smart, it was crazy. But had a really interesting background. Anyway, he would struggle with these bouts of depression, go into depression, he'd rip his life apart, he'd come out of it and emerge and be like, oh, crush work, go back into it, get really stuck in relationships. And it was tough. Like, I watched his poor fella. It wasn't in his control. It was intense. Now, I'm like a dog on a bone with this stuff. It's like, I will figure this out. I will make sure you're happy. I'll make sure you're happy, healed. Let's do it. And we got places. We got him more comfortable in his life, and like we did a good thing. Did we solve it completely? No. What was happening, Tommy? How's this? I threw the kitchen sink. I threw the kitchen sink at this lad.
That's such a great term for this context. I've never heard it before. I threw the kitchen sink of peace and power and development and change.
Yeah, everything I had. What it come down to is this. All his psychology needed was a cool environment. I'm not kidding. Put him in a cool environment, chuck him in New Zealand, plonk him there. Everything healed itself.
Wow.
Literally, his mind was in the wrong temperature dynamic for him. That's how important environment is. Put him in Melbourne, put him in New Zealand, no depression.
Wow. So just the physical change of place.
Yep. Too hot. It was too hot in Queensland. Literally, it's too much heat in his body. It wasn't him.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know what I heard one time, Nat? Because I'm similar to that, right? One of I think the biggest healings or I'm going to say healings and calmness and change within my own body and my ability to commit to things that I say I'm going to commit to, my ability to feel calm in my mind, etc., was moving out of a busy city, one of the busiest cities in the world, and moving out to the mid-north coast. And here's what I often hear. I'm having this conversation with potential clients or clients, and we look at these 5 areas of influence. We say, which ones are serving, etc., and you often hear the first one, I'm kind of spending a bit of time with family or friends and they're not very supportive of me. That's like the most common one. Yep. And then you kind of sometimes hear like, I guess work, it pays the bills, but it doesn't light me up. And I guess the people are kind of the same. And you start working through them, and then you get a bit of kickback when it comes to news and government agencies, because it's like, oh, well, you need to be informed. And I often rebuttal with, what are you doing with the information? Are you taking action to make it a better place or solve problems? And 99.9% of the time I hear back, no, I'm not doing anything with it. So I say, great. Well, what's the point in being informed? But the location and space one's a really interesting one, because here's what I often hear, just being honest. I often say to people, look, at the end of the day, you either do what's required or you don't. And maybe it's time to move. Maybe it's time to get out of this place that has a lot of triggers and
fucking oath.
And they say, well, bring that fucking noise, mate. We're all good. People either love our stuff, and if they love our stuff but can't listen due to the swearing, then they don't love all of us, so it's not for them. And that's no disrespect. We respect individuals that don't enjoy colourful language, but like ours. But I've often heard this, seriously, to an individual. I've often heard this from an individual that's experiencing chronic levels of addiction, completely ruining their lives. And I often hear this. I'll say something like, well, look, to be honest, I made this courageous move to move out of Sydney. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if I was going to go back. I just knew something had to change. And they often go, oh, well, it's not that big of an issue. I don't want to move.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
And now when you hear that, you get to the truth of it. Someone says they'll do anything to solve their problems with addiction, and you give them an opportunity to do anything about it. And that's why context and influence is key. Because it's like, nah. I hear it all the time. And it's This is what really roused me up when people make it so hard for themselves to change. They can literally be constantly speaking to a family member. This is a big one that shuts them down, doesn't respect their boundaries. They'll say to that person, "Oh, I'm not drinking tonight." That person will directly go, "Yeah, you are. I've bought you this." Like just constant. And they just will continue to spend time with that person. And then, which is okay, by the way, if anyone's listening, like, well, but I want to spend time with my family. It is, but it's not okay to then bitch about it.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole cause and effect. I'm really passionate about. You can't allow yourself to be influenced and then bitch about it later. You're either doing it. You're either putting yourself in a position that'll give you a chance.
You know what that environment holds. Yeah.
There we go. But I think I say this with a chance of losing a couple of our viewers. I think the traditional alcohol reduction industry likes to play this game. No, you've got an addiction.
Sure.
That's why it's hard for you. You have an addiction. It's because of the addiction. No, there's a large part of it where it's about the environment. What are your thoughts on that, Nat? I know we both come from kind of different education systems and backgrounds.
I think the total view must include both all the time. A combination of your choice with your internal world, your decisions, your perspectives, your views, your positions and agendas, and the environment that you're in. For example, Tommy, old Nathaniel made a mistake last weekend. Made a big mistake.
Are you throwing yourself under the bus here?
I am.
Yes.
I am. I was like, I had a great Saturday morning, saw a friend. We only catch up every now and then, and it's always a great catch up. Love seeing her. Coming back to Brisbane, we had a little concert to go to, didn't we? Old Braden and Nathaniel. Little husband wife time. Nice little concert. Okay. Big mistake. Nathaniel doesn't do well in big crowds. Turns out 28,000 people right up front. Environmental factor number one. Environmental factor number two. A lot of booze, a lot of other things floating around. Okay. All good, no problem. That means there's a lot of unconsciousness floating around. A lot of unconscious conversations, not much connection, So I'm stuck in big crowds. I'm stuck in a low awareness place. There's booze everywhere, right? And I just start to contract. I just start to, and I start talking bad to myself. I start like, give me all the drinks that I can. Like I watched myself just do this because old Nathaniel was in the wrong environment, and he knew it. He knew it from the moment it started. This isn't going to be good for me. Guess what? It wasn't.
Mate, it's so refreshing though to hear the story of someone who's spent over 10 years in the industry, influencing themselves, healing, growing, doing inner work, doing child trauma release work, doing like all the beautiful things I know that you've worked on. Yeah. And it's just so refreshing to hear that. Like, we set ourselves such a tall order, right?
Yeah.
I should be able to be anywhere in the world with 100,000 people going, Nathaniel Drake, Nathaniel Drake, Nathaniel Drake, Tom. It's like, why?
So true.
Yeah. Why do we like to cause ourselves so much pain?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for those that are listening, go on.
Well, it's just the fact that like when you have a proper understanding of what it is to be a human and how it works, is these things that hurt us. It's tough to say, but they never go away. We get a good awareness on them. We really understand them. Sometimes they heal fully, but a lot of our deeper stuff doesn't heal fully. They're reminders of who we are. You got to make friends with those parts of yourself. Some environments will fire those old things up just simply because they exist. Simply because they exist, they're in you, they're part of you, they've built you. And some environments will just turn them on. And I know that environment for me just turns on some very, very clunky old stuff.
So I was going to wrap it up, but I think you've mentioned something really important that we might kind of finish with, Nat, which is, and this is kind of a statement / question for you. We'll just see where it goes. I think sometimes being triggered is, I'm going to say it this way. A lot of the time in the personal development world, you'll hear things like, if it triggers you, it's designed to change you. In my experience, yes and no. Sometimes it's triggering you to remind you to get the fuck out.
Get out, wrong spot for you. Yeah.
And it's really not spoken about enough in the industry. It's, if you're getting triggered, you got some healing work to do. I noticed over the years that there's, one family member of mine I've created the best relationship I ever thought I could have with them, even though I didn't think I could. But I do know there's a time limit.
Yep.
There's a time limit. And I've learned as well, especially with relationships, if I can consciously make the choice to exit the physical time together before I build or get triggered into resentment or something, and great time to relieve your relationship when you want more, which is great.
Yep.
And I think that, as you said, after that, I can start to get, as you said, contracted, and I start to hear myself chat. I start to hear a little bit of judgment.
Yep.
Oh, you're a piece of shit, Tom. You haven't done enough work today whilst you're hanging out with this brother or whatever it is. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden I might be in a conversation with them about judging someone else. And it's like, what's going on here? I'm getting back into the old version of me. And you let that go for 6 hours. Like, yep, sure. We'll head to the pub. Let's go. I'm getting some money out for the Pope. Like, it's just so quick, isn't it?
Exactly. So quick. Yeah. Exactly right. Environments will, I think part, Tommy, is if we're going to go down the road of full ownership, full self-accountability, then you also have to have the depth to know what is your fault and what isn't, and walk away from what isn't your fault. That's part of self-ownership. Part of self-ownership is going, this isn't me, this is these other factors, and now my responsibility is to remove.
Mate, can you say that again? Because I think we'll leave it with that. Can you just say that again?
Yeah. When we talk about like this kind of idea of like radical ownership, radical responsibility, all that stuff, it's like, it's all on me. It's all, it's all me, which is, it's a great position to have. But part of that maturity, there's a maturation that has to happen in there, where you've got to realize that these elements are me, and those factors out there actually got nothing to do with me. They're environmental factors. They are not my fault, but they are my responsibility. So now I've got to go, because it's part of self-ownership.
Beautiful, man. Thanks for sharing that again.
Easy.
Who's listening that would like to finish with this? What part of your environment have you not been looking after? If you were to stop thinking about your relationship with alcohol for a second, and how much you're consuming, and when you're drinking, and what you feel, just take a breath. What part of your environment are you not looking after? And you don't need to have an answer right now. It's just something to ponder for the next 24 hours. Just be aware of it. And here's a couple of things that you can be aware of, and Nat, just jump in and let us know. Do you absolutely love the way that you relate and how your family and friends speak to you? Just ask yourself that honest question. Something will come up for you. So do you absolutely love the way that your family and friends speak to you? Do you feel great whilst you're watching social media or TV/the news? Do you feel great while, notice the words, black and white. Do you feel great while you're watching social media /the news? And here's a fun one for you to finish with. Do you feel light and carefree when it comes to the music you listen to?
Nice. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That splits the fence.
Yeah, that's great.
This is I've absolutely loved today's chat. Absolutely loved it.
Me too.
For those of you that are watching live, jump into the comments panel. Let us know if you enjoyed this call today. For those of you that are watching the recording either on Spotify or on YouTube right now, you can show up live to these recordings. We've had a couple of people on live today. You can ask questions. There's a little bit of a Q&A section if that's appropriate for the day. Just head to drinklessfeelfresh.com and you'll find the registration link. Thanks for rocking out with us today, and we'll see you next Monday, same time, same place. Thanks, Nat. Enjoyed that, mate.
No worries, man. Bye-bye.